From translation, NIV New International Version, this 149th day of the year, today we are reading passages, Nehemiah 12-13, Nehemiah chapter 12, verses 1-47. These are the priests and Levites who returned with Zerubbabel son of Shealtiel, and with Jeshua, Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Malach, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rehum, Meremoth, Iddo, Ginnathan, Abijah, Mijamin, Mardiah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, Joiarib, Jedaiah, Sallu, Amok, Hilkiah and Jedaiah. These were the leaders of the priests and of their associates in the days of Jeshua. Bakbukiah and Unni, their associates, stood opposite them in the service. Jeshua was the father of Joiakim, Joiakim the father of Eliashib, Eliashib the father of Joiada, Joiada the father of Jonathan, and Jonathan the father of Jaddua. During the reign of Darius the Persian, the family of Joiada produced the high priest Jonathan. The family of Sallu produced Meshullam, and the family of Meshullam produced Hilkiah. The family of Hilkiah produced Jedaiah, and during the reign of Ammon, the family of Jedaiah produced Joiarib. The family of Joiarib produced Jedaiah, and the family of Jedaiah produced Sallu. The family of Sallu produced Elishama, and the family of Elishama produced Malach. The family of Malach produced Jaddua, and the family of Jaddua held the priesthood until the time of the deposition of Joiakim. The sons of Joiakim: Hakatan and Shaphat of the sons of Shemaiah, the sons of Shaphat, Hattush, and the sons of Hattush, Johanan. The sons of Joiarib, Jonathan, and the sons of Jonathan, Jaddua. The sons of Meremoth, Obed and Shemaiah. The sons of Shemaiah, Jehozabad, Uzi, and Shaul. The Levites: Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, and their associates, who stood opposite them to give praise and thanksgiving, one section responding to the other, as prescribed by David the man of God. The priests and Levites carried out the assignments for the service of God in Jerusalem, as prescribed by Hezekiah, the king of Judah. The leaders of the Levites: Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Jeshua son of Kadmiel, with their associates opposite them, to give praise and thanksgiving, one section responding to the other. Mattaniah, Bakbukiah, Obadiah, Meshullam, Talmon, and Akkub were gatekeepers who guarded the storerooms at the gates. These served in the days of Jeshua, Eliashib, Joiada, Jaddua, and Meshullam, and in the days of the earlier high priests, a time when the leaders of the people were Uttai and Hattush, at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem. The Levites were sought out from where they lived, and were brought to Jerusalem, to celebrate joyfully the dedication with thanksgiving, and singing with cymbals, harps, and lyres. The singers were also assembled from the region around Jerusalem, from the villages of the Netophathites, from Beit Gilgal, and from the fields of Jeber and Asmaveth, for the singers had built villages for themselves around Jerusalem. The priests and Levites purified themselves, and also the people, the gates, and the wall. I had the leaders of Judah go up on top of the wall. I also assigned 2 large choirs to give thanks. One was to proceed on top of the wall to the right, toward the Dung Gate. Hoshiah, half of the leaders of Judah, Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah, as well as some priests with trumpets: Ezra the son of Azariah and Meshullam, Abijah, Mishael, Malchijah, Elam, and Jeremiah. Zechariah son of Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Asiel, and from the sons of Asaph, Zechariah the son of Berechiah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Zikri, the son of Asaph, and from the sons of Heman, Jehiel, Zechariah as above, and from the sons of Jeduthun, Shemaiah and Uzziel. The other choir proceeded to the left, toward the Gate of Ephraim. They went over the Gate of Inspection, and the Gate of the Old City, and over the Fish Gate, and the Tower of Hananel, and the Tower of the 100, as far as the Sheep Gate, and stood at the Guard Gate. The 2 choirs that gave thanks then took their places in the house of God. So did I half of the officials with me, and the priests: Eliakim, Maaseiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elionai, Zechariah, and Hananiah with their trumpets, and also Maaseiah, Shemaiah, Eleazar, Uzi, Jeshua, Binnui, and Shimei. The priests with trumpets were opposite them. The 2 large choirs gave praise and thanks to God. For with praise, one section of them answered the other section, as required by David the man of God. The priests and Levites performed the service of their God and the service of purification, as did also the gatekeepers and the singers and the temple servants, as commanded by David the man of God. His son Solomon will build the temple of the Lord. For long ago, in the days of David and Asaph, there had been directors for the singers, and for the songs of praise and thanksgiving to God. So in the days of Zerubbabel and of Nehemiah, all Israel contributed the daily portions for the musicians and the gatekeepers. They also set aside the portions for the other Levites, and the Levites set aside the portions for the descendants of Aaron. Nehemiah chapter 13, verses 1-31. On that day, the book of Moses was read aloud in the hearing of the people, and it was found written in it that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever be admitted into the assembly of God, because they had not met the Israelites with food and water, but had hired Balaam against them to curse them. However, our God turned the curse into a blessing. When the people heard this law, they excluded from Israel all who were of foreign descent. Before this, Eliashib the priest had been appointed over the storerooms of the house of our God, and was associated with Tobiah, and he had provided him with a large room in the courts of the house of God, where earlier they had been storing the grain offerings, the frankincense, the articles, the tithes and the dedicated things, and the tenths of the grain, the new wine and the olive oil as prescribed for the Levites, the singers and the gatekeepers, and the contributions for the priests. But while all this was going on, I was not in Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes king of Babylon I had returned to the king. Some time later I asked his permission, and came back to Jerusalem. Here I learned about the evil thing Eliashib had done in providing Tobiah a room in the courts of the house of God. I was greatly displeased, and threw all the household goods of Tobiah out of the room. I gave orders to purify the rooms, and then I brought back the articles for the house of God, with the grain offerings and the incense. I also learned that the portions assigned to the Levites had not been given to them, and that all the Levites and singers responsible for the service had gone back to their own fields. So I rebuked the officials and said, "Why is the house of God neglected?" Then I called them back and had them resume their duties. I also appointed as treasurers over the storerooms Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and Pedaiah of the Levites, a Levite, and put Hanan son of Zaccur, the son of Mattaniah, in charge of their duties. The Levites were to distribute to their associates. Remember me for this also, my God, and show mercy to me according to your great love. In those days I saw people in Judah treading winepresses on the Sabbath, and bringing in grain and loading it on donkeys, together with wine, grapes, figs, and all other kinds of loads. And they were bringing them into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So I warned them against selling food on that day. Tyrians who lived in Jerusalem were bringing in fish and all kinds of merchandise, and selling them in Jerusalem on the Sabbath to the people of Judah. I rebuked the nobles of Judah and said to them, "What is this evil thing you are doing by desecrating the Sabbath day? Did not your ancestors do the same things, so that our God brought all this disaster on us and on this city? Now you are stirring up more wrath against Israel by desecrating the Sabbath." When evening shadows fell on the gates of Jerusalem before the Sabbath, I ordered the doors to be shut and not opened until the Sabbath was over. I posted some of my own men at the gates, so that no load could be brought in on the Sabbath day. Once or twice the merchants and sellers of all kinds of goods spent the night outside Jerusalem, but I warned them and said, "Why do you spend the night by the wall? If you do this again, I will lay hands on you." From that time on they did not come on the Sabbath. I also commanded the Levites to purify themselves, and go and guard the gates in order to keep the Sabbath day holy. Remember me for this also, my God, and show mercy to me according to your great love. Moreover, in those days I saw men of Judah who had married women from Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. Half of their children spoke the language of Ashdod, or the language of one of the other peoples, and did not know how to speak the language of Judah. I opposed them and cursed them, struck some of them and pulled out their hair, and made them take an oath in the name of God, saying, "You are not to give your daughters in marriage to their sons, nor are you to take their daughters in marriage for your sons or for yourselves." Was it not because of marriages like these that Solomon king of Israel sinned? Among the many nations there was no king like him. He was loved by his God, and God made him king over all Israel, but even he was led into sin by foreign women. Must we then listen to you, and do all this great evil by intermarrying with the pagan peoples around us? If you did not sin in this way, how could we be saved? One of the sons of Joiada son of Eliashib, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat the Horonite, and I drove him away from me. Remember them, my God, because they defiled the priestly office and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. So I purified the priests and the Levites of everything foreign, and assigned duties to the priests and Levites, each to his own task. I also made provision for contributions of wood at designated times, and for the firstfruits. Remember me with favor, my God,